Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another Film Photography Friday. Today I'm going to be talking about shooting the Minolta X300 with Agfacolor 100 film, which has been expired since 2004, and I'm also going to be showing you some of the results I got from that. Before I start this video, make sure that you are subscribed so that you can always keep up to the latest Film Photography Friday videos when they come out, and also check out the Patreon link down below in the description so that if you do feel like you get some value from these videos, that maybe you donate the value of a roll of film or a cup of coffee a month. I'd really appreciate that. Anyway, getting back to the Minolta X300. So I've had this camera since about the start of summer. I bought it over in Germany because I already had a Minolta X300 and I wanted a 50mm 1.7 lens for it. When I went to buy it, the seller didn't want to sell the lens on its own, so I ended up buying the X300 with it as a bit of a body cap. Sure enough, when I then put the 50mm on the X300 didn't work at all, and I ended up just using the X300 instead. And I'm kind of glad that I did, because there's some features on this. It doesn't have many features, but there is something about it that I much prefer to the X300. When I bought this, I assumed that the camera didn't work at all, because I didn't know much about Minoltas, and I didn't realize that you need both a battery and for it to be switched on before you can fire the shutter or even cock back the shutter and the rewind lever. So when I got home and found out that the X300 wasn't working, I popped a few batteries into this, and sure enough, it works perfectly. Only thing is, you need batteries in it, and you need it to be on. I had batteries in it and I really wanted to shoot a roll of film with it, and I couldn't really decide what to shoot it with, because I didn't want to go with like the Kodak Gold route. I didn't want to put something expensive into it. So I found this roll of film of Agfacolor 100 in my grandparents' place, and I was a bit scared because I didn't really know what ISO to shoot it at. So the kind of standard rule of thumb online especially is that you just overexpose by a stop for every 10 years. So this was expired 14 years, so I decided to shoot it at just over a stop overexposed. So I think, yeah, it is ISO 40 that I shot it at, rather than ISO 100. I don't have any footage of me actually shooting this camera because I kind of just shot it on the side while I was in Germany. The one thing I did notice, and I didn't like this about it, was that the frame counter is gone on this. I don't know what it is about me and frame counters. If you watched my last video that I put out last week, my Contax G1 that I got from Japan, the frame counter on that was broken as well, and sure enough the frame counter on my Minolta is broken as well. So I might take it apart and see what the issue is with this one, because at least this one isn't an LCD. So the things that I like about this camera is, for an SLR, it's pretty small, it's pretty lightweight. I know it sounds really weird, but it actually feels quite nice to hold, and it feels kind of sturdy, not as sturdy as kind of like old Zeiss cameras or anything like that. So this camera isn't completely mechanical. As I said, you need a battery to be able to cock back the shutter, which is probably a bit of a weak point for it, because you end up being reliant on having good batteries and having batteries in there the whole time, and there is therefore electronics that is capable to break, rather than with a fully mechanical camera. You don't have to worry too much about that, it's because it's all mechanical. The upside to the electronics in this is that it has an exposure meter in it, but it also has Aperture Priority mode. So I can just set this to auto and I can just shoot as I want to. Just set the aperture and away I go. The reason that I like this is because this was kind of a bit of my holiday camera. It wasn't really the one that I took like my best shots on, but it was kind of a bit of a holiday camera. And the thing about like having a holiday camera is I don't necessarily like to be having to meter the whole time, metering every shot. I want to just put it up to my eye, focus and shoot. It has this weird kind of shutter wheel up here which feels pretty much like a modern SLR would. You know, this is how I change shutter speeds on my Sony when I'm shooting digital, so it feels very familiar. But you can still see the shutter speed. You can see the shutter speed you've selected in the viewfinder as well, and you can also see if it's set to auto mode what shutter speed it's going to try use then. Inside in the viewfinder it also has a split prism, so that helps you a bit with focusing. You also have a self timer, which is by pulling up this lever here, which I believe flashes a light which you can see there before it takes the picture. I'm going to cancel that. And then you also have auto exposure lock. So if you're looking at something, you want to get the exposure of it, then you press the auto exposure lock with probably this finger and then shoot with that finger. This is kind of a bit of a hybrid between using a fully mechanical, fully manual SLR and using something like the modern SLRs or point and shoots. And I actually kind of like that. You can manually set your ISO here. It doesn't have a DX code reader, so you only have the option of manually setting it here. The lens on this is a 50mm 1.7 Minolta lens. It's an MD lens and it has a 49mm filter thread. I really do want to use this more because I think this is gonna be like one of the main cameras that I want to use. It's just I rarely use SLRs, that's the only problem. I'm not the biggest fan of SLRs. I much prefer rangefinders and cameras like that. And I have this Sony strap that I took off my A7R III that is playing a bit on the fact that Sony bought Minolta. So in a few moments you're going to see the results that I got from shooting this with Agfacolor 100 while I was over in Germany. Now I was kind of limited by the fact that the frame counter didn't work, so I had to kind of guess a lot, and I thought the roll would end a lot sooner. So I thought I still only had 2 or 3 shots before I went to the developers, and sure enough I had like 10 or 12. So I ended up having to waste a lot of shots, but I'd rather waste shots than not shoot them at all. So I'd rather have 10 bad shots than 10 blank spaces on the negative. So the camera meters very well. It is pretty sharp with this lens. Gives a nice bokeh. It's a 1.7 lens, which is kind of a weird number to have for aperture, but it gives nice bokeh and I do like it. I do like the quality that this camera gives, but it's just I don't use SLRs enough. But maybe after seeing these, I might give this another go at some stage over the winter. If you are looking at getting a Minolta X300 or you're getting an SLR in general and you don't know what one to get and the kind of prices of the Canon AE1s is scaring you a bit, then I would definitely recommend checking this out because the results from this are great. And as I said, it has Aperture Priority mode, which makes things a bit easier, especially if you are starting out or if you want something that's kind of gives you the option of taking control, but also being there that has your back when you don't necessarily want to have all of the control and you just want to quickly take pictures. I would 100% recommend this to anyone. In terms of Agfacolor 100, the colors are really nice on this, even though it's an expired film and it has got a bit grainier because it's expired. This film does have nicer pastel colors than Vista does in my opinion, and it does look a good bit nicer. The problem is it's all expired. I only have 1 more roll of it. I have another 2 rolls of XRG 200 I think, but that's it then for my Agfa stock. I have Agfa CT Precisa, the slide film as well, which I'm going to be doing a video on as soon as I can find somewhere to develop it for me pretty cheap, or else if I get my own developer for it, because it is E6 process and that's pretty damn pricey in Ireland. Thank you so much for watching this video. Enjoy the results. Let me know what you think of them. Let me know what you want me to do a video on next. Again, Patreon link is down in the description if you want to donate the value of a cup of coffee or a roll of film a month. I'd really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to like this video as well, and if you know someone else that might be interested in this, please make sure to share it with them. Enjoy the results. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye bye.